Welcome to the Whitetail Legacy Podcast.
And we get the back view of him, and I mean, it's just a mega.
52 yards is a long shot. Magnum PI, what we named him. No idea.
Just a magnum.
Yeah, just a magnum.
Come on, Cam, last year we said probably 150, mid 150.
Yeah.
Same doe from the morning come out with that 9-pointer.
Here steps out this 90-inch 8-pointer. You're like,
I'm like, okay, well, there's still a buck back there grunting.
Yeah.
And then out steps like another 90-inch 8-pointer. I'm like, all right.
Yeah.
Bro.
Yeah.
Bro.
Yeah.
You're like, I'm like, deer, right there.
Yeah, like
and he's
30
already
yards.
30 yards.
Yeah.
He was literally 5 yards from the base of the tree. Could have been, had a buck down at 1:40 in the afternoon, back there deep on public. 3 does come out pretty early. It was like 245, 24 yard shot, sent to combat veteran, and I tell you what, man, dude, it just smoked. We always get so jacked up when the other person kills. It's just almost like we got it done.
Yeah. And when you killed that doe, I was like, hell yeah, man.
And we come down here to Missouri.
My ass homie one more time. I'm like, is it a good buck? And he goes, yeah, real good, solid buck. I'm like, all right, boom. And the deer just drops. Sure. Super special meat.
All right, let's get into the show.
This is the Whitetail Legacy Podcast coming in your ear holes on a wonderful Wednesday. I hope you guys are having an awesome midweek day. Hope this episode gets you through the grind of the week. We got a pretty awesome episode coming at you this week. Like I said, it's going to be content, and no of me and homie talking. And there's not a lot of us talking in this episode, so it's a good one.
For sure.
But, you know, our slogan here is Leave a Legacy, and this episode's all about leaving a legacy with your kids in the outdoors, and this guy absolutely crushes it. He kills a giant deer, his kid kills a giant deer 2 weeks apart in the rut. Like, I don't know how it gets any better.
It's so awesome.
Super young age. I don't want to ruin the episode. I just want you guys to get into it, but let's get to the people that make this possible, and then we'll get into the content. Start out with a VIP veteran broadhead. It's bows to Nebraska after the first bird. That's what you're saying?
I am.
Nice.
I mean, Scott sent us the trail cam pic, and there's a lot of turkeys there.
Yeah.
So I'm like, if we get it done early.
Gonna send the combat?
Yep, gonna send the combat 4-blade,
Heck yeah.
hopefully into a turkey in Nebraska.
That'd be real solid. I think I'll take the gun. And then, so I'm 98% go.
98%?
98%. There's always a 2%.
Oh yeah, I would say if I had to put like always 2%.
I always tell my wife the 2% Ric Flair, like, whoa, you know, like, woo, something came up, you know what I mean? I always say there's like a 2% Ric Flair in there.
Oh, for sure.
That something might really come up. But
I'm gonna have to start using that.
Yeah. Just tell your wife. There's like 5% Ric Flair. Something might happen.
Yeah.
And they have no idea.
I was gonna say, check them out at veteranip.com. All your broadhead needs there.
Yeah. All right. Got the VIP shout out.
Yeah, this week's VIP veteran broadhead shout out is Ryan Cusack. And it's kind of a different shout out. Got a couple different ones coming at you the next couple weeks here. Ryan has just signed up for the service. So I told him that we still shout him out and thank him for doing that. So Ryan, we appreciate that, and good luck and be safe out there, brother.
Yeah, we started off just veterans, and now we want to do active duty, police, everybody that's out there doing the service for the public, protecting us, I think is important to shout out. So I'm glad that we could shout him out. Thanks for signing that dotted line, man. You're doing it for us, our family, and we have a lot of respect for that. And best wishes to you, man. Hope you have a good career in there, and you have some fun, because I know a lot of guys have a lot of fun in there. So.
Yeah.
All right, let's get into Ingram's Outdoor Obsession. Dude is stepping up his video quality like a mug.
Yes.
He has dropped a ton of money on some camera equipment, so hopefully getting a lot more really nice content pictures of some mounts he's doing, showcasing, the detail that he's putting in this. Dude's cracking out the buck mount. Says he wants to be done by October so he can just go full send hunting. I'm like, man, I need a taxidermist schedule, because that's the way to go. But He's super excited to start, filming some hunts, being able to show his daughter and his family. And we're excited. We're kind of, helping him out a little bit and telling him kind of, what we use to start. And it's cool to see the passion that he has, to get going. And I think he's really going to enjoy it. And he's a hard worker, what I mean?
Right.
So I know he'll just keep continuing to get better and better, just like we did. So
If I double bucked, I'd probably start filming too.
Yeah, no shit. A big shout out to him. All your local taxidermist needs, Ingram's Outdoor Procession. He is the man.
All right, getting into Exodus. Exodus has told us that they have a really sweet deal for you guys. We've been running the Exodus camps for 2.5 years now, and we just got told that they're going to have a spring scouting special going on for the first 100 people that claim this deal, starting right now, and it's literally right now as this episode releases. They're going to be selling one of our favorite models, the Lift 2, at $180, saving you $50 if you use the code SPRING20. If you're not familiar with the Lift 2, it provides a lightning fast trigger speed with unmatched video quality. That's something Cody and I really rave about. Offers a 2-inch viewing screen, which allows for easy setup, and you can view your images in the field and on the fly. Check them out at ExodusOutdoorGear.com for more information on the Lift 2. Don't forget their 5-year no BS warranty that includes theft and damage. So simply the best warranty in the industry without a doubt, and backed by the #1 customer service support to back everything up. So if you have any more questions or looking for more details, get a hold of Exodus Trail Cameras on Facebook and Instagram for them to answer any questions. And don't forget, Spring20 is the code on their website.
Yeah, having that viewfinder is a game changer, because once you get one with a view, there's no like, am I too high, am I too low?
Picks
like,
of your head, like looking down.
Yeah, like it's on, you know what I mean? And another shout out for Exodus, check out Whitetail Cribs. Guys putting a ton of content.
Oh, dude, it's so good.
Trail Cam Radio, those guys are crushing the game. Podcast, video.
TikTok.
TikTok, Exodus Trail Cams, YouTube, Whitetail Cribs, man, they were putting a ton of work traveling across the nation and filming whitetail cribs, and it's so cool to see different guys out there, different levels, and just to see people passionate about hunting. It's awesome, and to get in there and get to see those trophies and hear the stories in video mode is really cool. So ECW calls, all your custom call needs in Gander Outdoors and in Farm King. I checked them out. Galesburg Farm King, they were there.
Look really good?
Yeah, yep, they looked real good.
Nice.
So we're going to be rocking the double-sided. Got one sitting here. We talked about giving that one away. I don't know if we're going to do that giveaway or not. I'm not sure.
I need to make sure mine's still in good order.
Might have something coming out of the works for turkey call. We have to get that going soon, though. But check out all your custom call needs, ECW calls. All right. Next Level Deer Supplements. You guys heard these guys on the podcast,
episode 70 or 77?
Like a year ago?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Oh, yeah, it was like a year ago. Yeah, March. Yeah.
So we have become incredibly good friends with Nate and Scott. They're the owners and founders of Next Level Deer Supplements, and they believe in us so much that they decided that they want to run ads on our Podunk podcast.
Sure.
And we believe in these guys, man. These guys, they are just down-to-earth, normal, hilarious guys. I mean, absolutely hilarious guys. We have so much fun to them. We talk to them on a daily basis. Scott is... He's kind of like, I feel like he's more the business guy. You know what I mean? He's got it going on.
I don't know. He golfs a lot.
He does golf a lot. But and then Nate is he's cracking me up every day. Dude.
Yeah.
But I mean, he's just driving around in a truck, so he's got plenty of time to come up with these sick ass jokes.
But one thing that's nice with talking to these guys every day is to hear their passion for having a healthy herd. Getting the deer the right nutrients, and when I say the right nutrients, I mean what the deer need.
Yeah, and the knowledge that they have. Like, if you have a question about anything, Nate's knowledgeable as hell, and he'll answer your questions.
Right.
So he's just like, oh yeah, this, and this. I'm like, oh yeah, I'll tell that guy this. I have no idea what you just said, but it's cool. You can just see how much passion they have, and that goes directly back into the product that they're making. They're making the mineral, the winter feed and the summer feed, and the soybean block. So that's something that we cannot do in Illinois, but we absolutely love this brand. So when they said that they'd be interested in running ads, we want to help the company out any way that we possibly can. So if you're in a state that allows you to mineral or supplemental feed, not bait, because that's but supplemental feed and grow your deer to the next level, check out Next Level Deer Supplements. You can check them out on Instagram. They got a TikTok.
Yep.
Facebook, Twitter, pretty active on Twitter, or just message us. We'll get you connected with Scott and Nate. If you guys are serious about giving your deer the best nutrition possible, check out Next Level Deer Supplements.
Yep. Their website is nxtleveldeer.com.
Right on. And then this is a little bit after the fact, but homie got me. So I got homie a food plot for his birthday last year. And
almost killed in it.
Yeah, almost. And then homie got me a sick ass birthday present this year. We can't really like show you full details of it because it's got some like information that we don't want people to know.
I was like, if we took a picture of that down at the bottom, I'd just have to like carbon copy a black spot and put right over it.
Yeah, we can't tell you exactly where it is, but I'll let homie kind of go into the details of what it is. Big shout out to you for getting me that. Should we keep the birthday presents going? Is that question?
I don't know. Had to see where my funds are. Well, I got a year before I got to bounce back.
Yeah.
I just want to shout out Carta Maps. It's a new scouting tool that Cody and I have, and on cartamaps.com, you have the ability to create your own map, make your own border for the property lines, drop your own pins, all within their software right on their website. You can mark your parking spots, trails, roads that are there. If you got a shed, you can put the name of the shed. And then they also have different types of maps. So they have a standard roll-up map that would be like your paper type. They also have this very cool outdoor map, and it's made from fabric. So one of their pictures on their website is like a guy in a boat, and it's kind of, the map's wet, but it's all like crinkled up in his hand, but it's fabric, so you can still read it. So I think that that's very cool. We have the magnetic poster, or the magnetic map. It comes with pins to, like as much as Cody and I bounce around, you can move them pins or wherever you run trail cams, because we're always moving cams, always adding cams. So that's
I forgot that one cam for like a month.
Yeah, see, exactly. I was like, dude, if we would have had that up, that'd have been perfect. So, and they also come in different sizes. With the standard, they have a 15 by 22, a 20 by 30, and a 30 by 45. So you're going to be able to get your big parcels in there. And with the software that they have on the website, you're going to be able to zoom into your smaller parcels and get really good detail on your property. So, Carta just believes in getting you a map for your next outing, or, your property, your game management unit, your favorite trail, or the wall of your cabin. So you shouldn't have to go to the store and spend hours, searching the internet. Just go to cartamaps.com and they can hook you up for sure.
I think it's super solid. Like, we're always on our phone. We're both looking at like a 2 by 4 inch screen, and this is all blown up, and like you can look, well, what if we access to this? Okay, we go in here, we put a pin, this is our wind direction, how we're going to access it. It opens your eyes to what you can do on the property.
You're not zooming in and out.
And it's so big. You can, we've seen this buck here, why do we think he was here, what's behind it? You can just see all that at an instance instead of zooming around, going around. And then what's really like annoying on a lot of the apps, you can only set one home zone. So then you're like, I got to zoom out. Where's that piece public ground at?
Yeah.
You zoom over, then you zoom in, you know what I mean? So this is there, never moves. We're going to put it on the back of the door here in the studio, and I'm sure there'll be many hours game planning over that, and hopefully some memories made where we can put a pin where we stuck a buck. I'm hoping so. All right, that it?
That's it.
All right, man. Like I said, we're growing. We're getting some more ad reads, but these are companies that we 100% believe in, and we're proud to shout them out on episodes. And we hope you guys try their products and enjoy them, because, like I said, we're not going to rep anything that we don't 100% love. And we're not affiliated with Carta Maps, but the map was just so solid. We wanted to give them a few shout outs, because it's just we do that sometimes. You know, when we find a product that we really like, that's a kind of a game changer for us. We like to give them a shout out. So
Yeah.
all right, let's get into the show.
All right, guys. Joining us on the phone now is Jason Q. I reached out to him after we become friends on Facebook. So how you doing tonight, Jason?
Doing good. How are you guys doing tonight?
Oh, it's just another night getting going here. It's always rough getting started, but you done something pretty special this past year, and it's something that Cody and I are very passionate about. And when I seen your profile picture on Facebook, I was like, that deer has my attention. And then I seen that your son was able to get it done on a really good buck too. So that's something that we're going to cover here. But for now, let's just get you introduced to the listeners and tell them a little bit about you.
Well, my name's Jason Q. I'm from Southeast Ohio. Lived here for about 2.5 years now. I'm originally from North Central West Virginia. Worked as a maintenance away track worker for CSX along the Ohio River, and married with 2 kids, 2 boys, 6 and 4. Well, be 7 here in a couple of days, but not really much else. Just a regular blue-collar guy that goes to work every day, and I hunt when I can. I mean, that's just who I am. My family's adapted to it. They're part of it, and we all love to do it.
Nice. I'm going to say it's not very often you find somebody who does the same thing that we do at work, so that's cool. I feel like, anytime you hear somebody that works for the railroad, they're like, oh, yeah, I'm a conductor or an engineer. It's not very often that you get somebody who's actually out there building the tracks, maintaining them, improving them, and inspecting them.
Oh, I agree. I mean, every time I tell somebody I work for CSX, they think automatically I'm a conductor or engineer.
We get that all the time. You know this guy is an engineer. I'm like, no, I have no idea who that is. My thing is like, people, they like, well, what do you do? I'm like, I can't even explain what I do to you. It would take too long. So
I get a plan at the beginning of the day.
I just tell them I just maintain the track.
Yeah,
I change rail, I change ties. That's about as simple as I get.
Yeah.
Yeah, that pretty much nails it down. So, when did you get into hunting and such?
Oh, man, that's all I can remember is hunting. It's my uncle and my dad was taking me out when I was 4 or 5 years old, shooting squirrels and small game, and deer hunting come along. A few years later, I'd tag along, and I was in grade school when I really started hunting for myself. Carrying a gun and everything, and so that's all I've really ever known is hunting. And what's weird is everybody in my family hunts, but nobody is as serious about it as I am. So they all think I'm nuts that I am the way I am.
I feel like the tradition in Pennsylvania is very deep, and kind of like Michigan is. We had that episode about Michigan. And the tradition's very heavy there. Is that kind of the way Virginia was when you were growing up?
Yeah, West Virginia it's like that. It is, but it isn't. It's kind of hard to explain. Everybody has the mentality the whole state is brown, it's down. They go out for a day or two and they're done. That's pretty much what deer season consists of for most people. Not everybody, but it's coming around, and people's really trying to push it to be an up-and-coming state.
Nice. Yeah, well, I've seen some giants come out of West Virginia, so some of them mountain bucks and stuff get pretty big.
Yeah, there's 4 counties in the southern part of the state that's bow only.
Wow.
They've been like that since the 70s.
I didn't know that. That's pretty sweet.
Yeah, they kill some giants down there, but it's rough terrain. I mean, just look at the wall in the room you're in. That's about what the hillsides look like.
Yeah.
I was just kind of going off of that, like, the tradition is kind of here, but it's not as like heavy. If you told just like your normal person here, like, hey, yeah, me and my 4-year-old, we just went out to the woods, we went hunting, you would get some strange looks. You'd be like, well, that's too young, But I feel like out there in Pennsylvania and Michigan, and obviously West Virginia, like you said. It's just like that's what everybody does,
And ice fishing. It's like that and ice fishing. Everybody does it up there.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, where I live at now, Southeast Ohio, I'm 10 miles from the West Virginia line. I actually work in West Virginia. So I'm not that far away. The terrain's still the same, still hill country. I mean, elevation change is 900 to 1,000 feet. There's virtually no ag here. Every time you tell somebody, oh, I live in Ohio, I hunt Ohio, oh, it must be nice to hunt all those crop fields. It's like, ain't no crop fields where I hunt at.
I would say then that's, we have so much ag here.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a little bit, like you get down the river, there's some cornfields, and even like around, there's a few farms that plant a little bit of ag, but not much. I mean, you get 45 minutes or so south of me, then that's where the ag starts, but you're still in the hill country, so you're still kind of limited to how much ag you can actually plant.
All right. So with you having such an early start in hunting, was that a goal for you to see if your kids were going to be interested in it at, like the same time, or were you just kind of doing it and noticing that he was taking some interest and then you started including him on some things? Just kind of go about how you started getting him into it.
Well, obviously, I mean, I wanted him to do and enjoy what I wanted to do, or like what I enjoyed doing. But I always told myself I'd never force him or any of my kids into it, because usually that's what pushes them away. And I don't know if it's from that's all he ever seen was what I was doing, and it basically it's always ever been around. So I think that's all he's ever known. And I never forced him to go. I'd always ask him, hey, do you want to go help Dad do this, or you want to go help Dad check trail cameras? And most of the time he would go. I mean, we got pictures of him. When I lived in West Virginia, I had 650 acres that I leased and had control of, and I would supplemental feed there in the wintertime, and he'd be out there checking cameras with me, filling feeders and stuff. And it's real. I mean, another thing that's really funny, reminds me, or when I think back, my wife has pictures and a video. I was at work and he had her send it to him. He was probably 3.5. He had a little deer rug, and he got behind it like he killed a deer and gave her like this big story and had her film it and send it to me. It's just, but it came like natural to him.
Yeah, I think that's really cool. I think when the parents are so involved in it and it's like kind of like an everyday deal,
right?
I think that's just they just fall in love with it, because everybody every little boy wants to be like their dad. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
Like
that's like.
Go ahead.
Well, that's our youngest boy. He just turns 4, and he's into it. I mean, he talks about it and stuff, but it's like Hunter was so much more mature than Bentley is at his age. So it's a little slower process with him, but he's been going out shed hunting with us a little bit, and we took him on a deer hunt right before Christmas, and Hunter killed a doe with a straight wall cartridge rifle, and he was there for that, and he had a lot of fun there. That's all he talked about for a couple of weeks. So I'd say it's coming around with him too. It's just he hasn't been exposed to it to the level that Hunter was at his age.
Yeah, I think the same thing. But it's crazy how those kids, when they start getting bigger, they all have personalities. My middle boy, you could tell that he's in it, but he just likes deer hunting. Like, that's the only thing he wants to talk about is deer, deer, deer. My oldest boy, he's 4, he'll be 5. He was throwing a stuffed bird in the air and trying to hit it with a Nerf dart last night because he was bird or dove hunting. You know what I mean? So he's into it all. He's into squirrel hunting, dove hunting, and my other boy, he just deer, deer, deer. He wants to go to the garage and look at the deer, and that's pretty much all he is into. So it'd be interesting to, when he gets a little older, to see if he's into it as hardcore or not. You know what I mean? So every kid has a different personality, and I can tell my middle kid's a little bit less coordinated, you know what I mean? So it's gonna be fun to watch him grow.
Yeah, I think that's another thing that's been really cool with the involvement of trail cams and the heavy reliability that we as hunters put on trail cams is, just like Jason was saying, is that's another activity that you can do with your kids. Get out there and hike with them. Check them cards. They don't have to be like super extremely quiet as you're tromping through there in July checking a card. But
sometimes you get pretty cool pictures that can say you can have. I got a picture of Rainer with a Ninja Turtle bicycle helmet on, carrying a sword, right? Checking trail cams. You know what I mean? Like, what do you tell the kid? He's like, I'm gonna wear this helmet. I'm like, okay, man, that's cool. Yeah. He's gonna take this sword to knock down the sticks. You know what I mean? I'm like, all right. So I got that picture on my phone. For the rest of my life.
Yeah.
Saved to the cloud. So it's pretty cool.
and I feel it's as much, if not more, of a learning experience for the parents as it is the kid. Because I mean, there's times that I forget that Hunter's only 6 years old. You know, it's like going shed hunting. It's like we know we need to go up here and we need to go here, and it's like, then he'll start getting a little, well, Dad, and it's like, well, you are 6 years old. I need to remind myself of that. It's not me doing it, you know. So it is a learning experience, the patience game, and I think one of the hardest things I had with him was keeping him in a ground blind, because you know how it is. You go, you have X amount of time to go hunting, and you get out there and you get all set up, and an hour into it, you ain't seen anything. He's like, "Well, Dad, I'm ready to go home now."
Yeah. That's what my kid, and I just tell him, I said, deer come out at almost dark.
Yep.
And now I got him trained. But remember someone told us on here, who was it that said that? Mark Jury, I think, said it to him one time that you should go out later, you know, when you take your kids, because you're going to lose some hunting time, but just go out later so they make sure it's fun.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. It was harder pill for me to swallow than it was for him, because I wanted to see him be successful, but he didn't understand the whole concept. He was bored, and we always took his iPad to the blind with us, and he could play games on what he wanted that didn't take internet or anything. So, but from last year to this year, I've seen a huge difference in him on wanting to go, wanting to sit there until dark. Because before, once it started getting dark, yep, Dad, I'm ready to go. He didn't want nothing to do with the dark, walking in or out. So, but I think the success he had last year and then this past year, he's seen what it took to get there. So he actually puts forth a little bit more effort. And I told him, I said, but I'm not going to hand everything to you. You have to help me, and you have to do some stuff, because I didn't want to just hand him everything and then him get all big headed.
Yeah. I know a lot of
of
people are like, I have nothing against it. I just will not do it. They like stage sheds for their kids, and I will not do that. I'm just like, my wife's like, you know, the 2-year-old went, and she was like, yeah, maybe we should. I'm like, no, absolutely not. There's no way I'm staging something, you know what I mean? It keeps them motivated to go, you know what I mean?
It does.
But I'm like, unless we have a really bad chance, we'll walk into one eventually. You know what I mean? Like, so I'm 100% against that. I feel you. Like, you gotta make them earn it. You know, you want to coach and counsel them as much as you can, but in the end, they got to put the work in and earn it. And that's exactly how I'll be too. But I'm just excited to be able to hunt with a kid. My dad didn't hunt at all, so it's gonna be super cool to just teach. You know what I mean?
Oh, it is. My dad hunted, but it was more of, you know, just a few days here and a few days there. It wasn't nothing. He never got too serious about it.
Well, I'm sure you got it on there, but let's get into the stories of the success that you guys had. Is that you got that on your notes over there?
Yeah.
And then I kind of want to go, once we get through that, kind of maybe go over some tactics that helped him stay out there, or something that you might have learned after him being successful that might help some guy like me and homie that's wanting to get his kid out there to get them to be successful.
All right.
So we'll start off with your buck. Kind of just lay out the hunt, and if you had any history with them, and then we'll get into Hunter's deer.
Okay, sounds good. So with mine, I had no history with the deer. The hunt kind of started last year. Basically all I hunt is public ground. I live right in the middle of a giant section of public ground, and I'm fairly new to the area, so I've been scouting religiously because I'm just who I am. It's just what I have to do, and I run across this piece, and it's kind of hard to access because there's giant rock bluffs about halfway up the hill, and I was in there last year scouting and shed hunting, and I'd seen just an absurd amount of buck sign compared to what I normally see around in here in this area. So fast forward to this past summer, my buddy that I hunt with, we go in there and we put a camera up like late. It was into August, 1st September, and I told him, so I'm just going to let this camera just soak. Had no idea what was in there, but I had a feeling there'd be something good with the amount of sign and the size of sign that I seen last year. So this was end of October, like the last Monday of October. I was working night shift at work, so I decided I was going to go in there and hunt, and pull the camera on the way in. And on the way in, I pulled the camera, got in the stand, and started going through the pictures. And this buck that I ended up killing, he never showed up until October 16th and October 17th at like 12:30 in the day and 4:30 in the afternoon on this scrape. It was a pre-existing scrape from the year before we had hung the camera on. So I hunted that morning, didn't see anything. Hunted until like 11 o'clock, got out. Friday, I was on 410s, I believe, that week. Friday morning, I went back in there. No, I'm sorry. Saturday morning, I went back in there. Took a little different route in because of the way the wind was blowing, and got in the stand. And as I'm getting in the stand, there was 2 deer above me in the dark, like 40 yards. I'm pretty sure it was a buck and a doe because just the way they was moving around. You could hear the fast-paced walking, and they'd slow down and just a little bit of zigzagging. Hunted that morning to like 11 o'clock. Nothing. And I'm just starting to question myself because this camera was just lit up with just buck after buck after buck on this scrape. And it's still, this is November 2nd. So, I mean, the rut really is just getting started in this area here. On the way out, right above the truck, I had a camera on this first flat. It was a bunch of red oaks in there. And around here, it's like the only thing it produced this year was the red oaks and low on the hills. And this camera just had slowly been increasing with the amount of pictures on this thing. I had does on it from day one, but the buck activity really started picking up. And I thought, well, I'll come back here and hunt in a day or so. I've already hunted in here twice this week. And I'm just not one of those guys that likes to pound a spot. I'm aggressive, but I bounce around a lot. It's just the way I've always been, my nature. I can't stand to sit in one particular tree over and over. I get bored. So that afternoon, I'd actually went to another chunk of public 20 minutes away, and it's kind of rough getting in. I got to get this steep ravine. I get in there, and there's not much for trees. Everything's either calf size or 200 years old, it looks like, or dead. And it's in a little bit of a cove, and anybody who hunts hill country knows it's hard to hunt coves because the wind just swirls nonstop. It doesn't matter what it's doing, it swirls. So I got on the outside of the cove, hoping that I could get a consistent wind, and I couldn't. And I had my stand I had 3 sticks up the tree, and something just kept telling me, go back to the spot that I'd been hunting, but hunt low on the hill. Because the amount of daylight pictures in there was just insane. And I'd had 2 shooters on that lower camera in the past couple of days, just from like noon till dark. So I tear everything down before I ever get the stand hung, pack back off the hill, get in my truck, and I drive 20 minutes the opposite direction. And the whole time I'm sitting there thinking, I hope nobody drives by and sees me, because I'm literally 75 or 100 yards off the road. I'm watching cars drive down the gravel road past me. And as I'm walking in there, I'd walked out of that spot at, I believe it was 11:30 in the morning, and there was nothing there. I come back in, there's 2 does bedded right there. I jumped them up, and I'd picked the tree out. There's a point, real steep point coming down, and a lot of these bucks that I've been getting on camera was running up and down this point. And I'd set up just on the downwind side of that, and hoping, I had a real stiff wind that evening. It was probably blowing 15 miles an hour. And anything that was going to come from either direction, I should have been able to get a shot at without them getting my wind. So I get up in the tree, and I'm not there 15 minutes, and I have a 4-point come down off the hill, and he's feeding on acorns, and I watch him for, I don't know, 20 minutes or a half hour. He goes by, and it's 2 hours after getting a stand, and I just happened to look out the hill about 150 yards. There's a giant rock out there, big rock outcropping. And I seen a deer come running around it. Well, right behind it, I seen a bigger bodied deer, and I'm pretty sure I seen horns on it. So I stood up and got ready, and they're angling at me. Well, then I realized what deer it is. They're running right at me. Well, the doe J hooks and cuts back to the left, runs out of sight, and I'm standing there just waiting, because we all know how it goes with a buck chasing a doe. You don't know where they're going to end up at in 30 seconds later. And so I stand there for, I don't know, minute and a half. Nothing happens. Don't even see him again. So I hang my bow back up, and I'm kind of looking down over the bank. And for some reason, I just happen to look out to my left, and I look, and here comes that doe running at me at 50 yards. So I grab my bow back off my bow holder. She comes running up eye level with me. She's going up the hill in front of me up that point. She's standing broadside at 20 yards, and she squats right there for him to come up and breed her. Well, he's 30 yards off to my right in a big tangled mess of vines and saplings. And as fast paced as they was moving, I went ahead and drew because I thought it was going to happen pretty quick. Well, as I drew, he hung me out to dry, and he just decided to stand there and lip curl and grunt and
warming her up, talking dirty.
Yeah. Right? Yeah. She's looking back at him, and I'm looking at her, and his eyes are rolled back in his head. And
oh yeah. He's saying, "You know what time it is."
Oh yeah, he's fixing to get his feel goods ready. So finally, he starts inching his way up there, and all I'm concentrating on is right behind her because I got a giant opening right behind her, and I'm at full draw for 45 seconds. I was starting to get a little bit shaky, and I happened to look, and he's standing in a giant hole already. I didn't even realize it. I thought there's still a big tangled mess right there, and he was actually lip curling when I finally settled the pin in, and I sent one through his armpit, and he was so focused on her when I hit him, he literally made 2 bounds and stopped and was like looking back at her. And you can hear the blood just dumping out of him. And the past couple of years, I've had some bad experiences, and he's standing there at 20 yards, and I'm trying to grab another arrow out of my quiver, and he'd look at me, and he'd look at her, and he went down on his front legs, and then he stands back up, and I'm thinking, well, maybe I didn't hit him as good as I thought I did. I get the other arrow knocked, and I draw, and it's pretty steep quartering away, but I got a pretty good shot up into the back of his ribs. Well, lo and behold, as I cut the arrow loose, he falls on his front legs again. I hit him right in the root of the tail. And he went another 40 yards and fell over dead right there. I'd actually hit him like I thought I did, but the way he was acting and in the heat of the moment, I started second guessing myself.
Oh yeah, I'm all for that. Put another one arrow in him as quick as you can.
Right. Oh, I agree. I mean, I lost a big one 2 years ago, right after we moved in here. I shot him at 5 yards, and I thought the shot was good. I got about 15, 16 inches of penetration. Shot him, I don't want to say straight down through. He was probably 5 to 7 yards. Gave him 2 hours and went back in, and we jumped him up, and he went 75 yards and bedded down 3 times, and there was blood all over the place. And when we jumped him up, I never seen him again. I probably spent 60 hours looking for him after that and never found another drop of blood, hide, or hair of him.
Wow.
So I wasn't hesitating about putting another arrow in him. I mean, I ain't proud about where I hit him at the second time, but it was kind of out of my control when he dropped to his front legs just as I cut the arrow loose. But I guess hindsight's 20/20. I'd rather have another one in him than not than him get away.
Put another one in him and let him expire quicker. Whatever it takes to get the job done.
I just feel we owe it to the animal. Anyways, I mean, that's our job to put them down as quick and ethically as we possibly can.
Yeah, for sure. Man, that was a good call to pull down your stand and make a move, midday like that. That'd be tough for me. I'd be like, man, I got 3 sticks already hung. Like, I might just try this spot out, but props to you for going with your gut, man.
It has been in the past with me, too. I get up there, and it's like, no, I need to be somewhere else. And of course, you're always second-guessing yourself where you should be, but something just kept telling me I needed to be at that spot. And luck, skill, I'm going with luck, but
I always go with luck.
Yeah, I was like, whatever it is.
90, everybody says, it's like 70% luck. It's like 98% luck with me.
Yep, same here.
So that was on November 2nd, right?
November 2nd, yes.
November 2nd. You got a buck down.
Yep.
When did your son get his buck?
November 14th.
November 14th, so almost 2 weeks later.
Yep. Yeah, he'd been hunting pretty hard. He'd shot a doe early, like mid-October. He had to have a tree stand. He wanted to hunt out of a tree stand this year because all he'd ever hunted out of was a ground blind. So he'd got a double man ladder stand for Christmas last year. We'd put it up, and here in Ohio, we're allowed to bait we got two small pieces of private property that he hunts on. Just one's our neighbor, and the other one's a mile and a half up the road. So for him, I put some corn out, just trying to up his odds a little bit, trying to keep him a little more interested. And he shot a doe, like I said, mid-October, shot one out of a tree stand. He was pretty pumped about that. And then after that, things just kind of went dry. It's like we wasn't seeing anything for deer. It didn't matter where we hunted at. We had one field at the neighbors. We'd see some does, but they was usually 150, 200 yards off. And I believe it was November 10th. That field next to the house, things was really heating up. We started getting I had several bucks on there all year long, but they was all nocturnal. But about that 8th, the 9th, 10th, right around in there, we started having just nonstop buck activity coming through there. And we had drove by that bottom early that morning, and the top buck we had right there was laying there 25, 30 yards off the road right across the river. We get a little river here by the house, laying there with a doe. He's 145-inch 11 point. Of course, Hunter's just going nuts seeing that deer. Of course, I would be too if I was 6 years old, and that was 100 yards from my blind. So we'd went in there that afternoon on the 10th, and we wasn't in the blind, but 5 minutes and had low to mid-120s, 10 point right across the river from us, a spike over there. And I told Hunter, I said, those bucks are hanging right there. I said, the big guy and that doe is laying. There's just a little patch of timber right there just across the river on an adjacent landowner. I said, that big one's laying in there. He's like, oh, Dad, he said, he's not in there. It wasn't very long after. Here comes a doe walking through there, and that big one's we watched him for an hour and a half, just dog her around, follow her around all over there in that little patch of timber. She'd go to cross the creek a couple of times, or the river a couple of times, and he'd cut her off. He wouldn't let her come over there. And we ended up having low 130s 9 point, chase a doe through the field that evening. That was pretty much it for the night. And he's starting to get pretty bummed because that was the most activity we had all year combined in that one night. So the 14th, I believe, I wanted to say it was a Thursday. I got home from work. We'd hunted, I think, one other day that week after work. And I come in, threw a coat on or a sweatshirt, left my work pants on, and went to a place where he'd shot a buck at last year at a different property, just like a mile and a half from the road. And we usually take this four-wheeler trail up the hill. And I told him, I said, Hunter, we're going to do something different tonight. I said, we're going to park right here next to the highway, and we're going to pull a steep hill and pop out right at the blind. I said, because I think a lot of those deer are laying on the hill and watching us walk in. So we got there in the blind, and it's 4:30 by the time we get in the blind. And about 10 after 5, I happen to look. We're sitting right at an intersection of two logging trails that come together right there. And I looked up the top one, and all I could see was a rack coming jogging down the hill. And I told Hunter, I said, get ready, bud. I said, here comes a buck, and didn't know what buck it was until we come in. We'd had 3 years of history with this buck. We've been hunting this farm since we first moved in. The people we bought the house off of, it's his uncle. He lets us hunt. And this buck was a 3-year-old then, probably 115, 120 inches. Last year, a 4-year-old, he didn't really even change. I mean, he looked like he carried the same rack, but I know he didn't. But then this year, he finally blew up. When I say blow up, he grew 10 inches, which was a big improvement for him. As a 5-year-old, he'd never been anything. And we actually hadn't had that deer on camera since end of September or 1st of October. He hadn't been there. And in years past, he was a pretty regular right there. But he comes jogging down the hill, and I didn't realize what was going on because there's a big tree right in front of my window at the blind. I can just see partially out of the window that I look out of. But he was chasing a doe. And in between the two logging trails, that doe had come around, and he had cut her off and pushed her down the hill. Well, she comes down and gets right in front of the blind. It's like 16 or 17 yards. And she's standing there, and the buck he's in bow range, but he's facing us. And Hunter can't shoot because the tree's in the way. And I'm trying to keep him calm because I know what caliber deer this is. I don't think he realizes what caliber deer this is at this time. And he's like, Dad, there's another buck behind him. And no more than he says that, the buck he ended up shooting snort wheezes at the other buck. So Hunter's getting the full effect right here. He's getting chasing, he's getting grunting, he's getting a buck snort wheezing. And I told him, I said, get ready, because when this doe bolts, I thought I was going to bleed at the deer, yell at him, something, get him to stop. The doe starts walking, and the one he shot just walks right up there and stops broadside and looks back at the other buck, and he shot him at, like I said, 16, 17 yards, heart shot him, and he tore out behind the blind, and I watched him. He went about 50 yards and just started rolling backwards down over the hill, and that's when the celebration started right there. I thought the little boy was going to tear the blind apart.
I bet you he was jacked. I can only imagine how many fist pumps are going on.
It was insane.
I'm not 100% sure, but I'm pretty sure he's seen a lot more badass shit go down in the woods than I have.
yeah. This sounds like his season was pretty solid.
Yeah.
I mean, a couple 130s chasing. So, pretty solid.
He's been a really lucky little boy. I mean, he shot his first 2 deer at 4 years old with a crossbow right before we moved from West Virginia to here. The first night of season, he shot a 4-point. 2 nights later, he shot a doe. We moved over here. He didn't kill nothing the rest of that year. Then last year, he killed 2 does with a crossbow and a 7-point. And then this year, he killed a doe with a crossbow, that 8-point with a crossbow. Then he finally killed his first deer with a gun. He shot a doe right before Christmas with my 450 Bushmaster.
Wow. He's getting a nice resume already.
Yeah, right.
He's got one long beard under his belt too.
Oh, nice.
Ooh. How did he do when he first started shooting a crossbow? Is it something that he had to kind of work with, or did he kind of just pick it up and was pretty solid from the get-go?
I mean, he was pretty solid. I mean, we started. I got a Caldwell field pod, which is basically a tripod that has a gun rest on it. It holds the whole gun or crossbow. It has 2 rests on it. So basically, all he has to do is flip it on fire and put the crosshair on it and pull the trigger. It's holding everything for him. But we started out with a crossbow with dots in the red dot, and it had three dots in the scope. I thought that would be a lot easier for him than actually having crosshairs. And his first deer he shot, I think he was nervous. He didn't want to let me down. His mom was in the blind with us when he shot it, and the deer had been there for a little bit, and he'd got the dot on it, and he actually stepped away from the crossbow and made me look through the scope to make sure he was in the right spot. And then he shot that one, and then 2 nights later when the doe come through, it was like watching a totally different kid, because the doe had surprised us, and she'd popped up over the hill at like 10 feet from the blind and was staring us down. When she finally broke and started walking, I just let go of him, because I grabbed him and was holding on to him so he wouldn't move. I let go of him, and he just leans up, grabs the crossbow, and starts following her, and I flipped it on fire, and she was quartering away, and I was like, well, he's got to learn sometime. He knows where to shoot him at, and he cut her loose, and she ran about 30 yards and fell over. It hit her back of the ribs and come out through the point of the shoulder.
Wow. Man, that's motivating me to go buy a crossbow tomorrow. Like, I'm not even kidding.
He's deadly with that thing.
What crossbow did you end up getting him?
Right now, he has an Excalibur GRZ2. It's just a run-of-the-mill, lower-end Excalibur. You can buy it all day long at Cabela's, Bass Pro Shop, wherever for $4.99. It comes with 3 bolts, the scope, and everything you need.
Nice. I'm tempted, dude. I might go buy one tomorrow and get him started at least shooting in the yard, because I was figuring like 7, 8, but hell, he's out there that young.
Yeah, I would say 4 years old, you're not probably picking up a crossbow, it's nice that you have the rest there for him.
And that's the only way I could do it, because a couple people I know had their kids out at a fairly young age, and I asked them, I said, what rest are you guys using? Because I knew just a regular shooting stick wasn't going to work. I knew they wasn't going to be steady enough. And those Caldwell field pods, there's 2 levels of them. You can buy one that's around $70 to $80, and there's the other one's about $30 more than that.
Yeah, that's the right way to do it, though, man.
Yeah.
To be able to have that consistently where you're on it. You're not having to move the crossbow around, and it gives them, especially in the yard, even practicing, Just like when my wife was getting into hunting, I made her shoot off of the lead sled just to build her confidence, be like, hey, you can hit this. Like,
absolutely.
It's not as hard as people make it out to once you understand how your body's going to react. And then I take her off the lead sled, and she's nailing it. But if I would have started her on a tripod or something, it'd have been a completely different game. So
that's all he's ever used, except for the turkey he shot last year. He actually shot it off. The gun was actually resting on I was holding it in my hand, kind of off to the side, because we saw this bird out in the field, and we'd snuck in there next to a barn, old barn that sits there, and I called, and the bird didn't respond, so I kind of snuck over the hill. I had a fan, and I snuck over, and I seen the bird standing down, and he'd moved a little bit, and I just showed him the fan, and he turned and started running at us. I backed up and sat down next to Hunter. Well, the bird had circled us a little bit, and I didn't see him come in because the fan was in my way. But when I moved the fan to kind of get up to move, the bird was standing there, and we actually had to crawl up a little bit. And I took the gun off that field pod, and I just held the gun on my hand off to the side, and he used that and shot it like that. That's the only thing he's ever shot without that thing.
Nice. Yeah, it'd be definitely a good investment to get one of those and at least get him accustomed to a crossbow, because that's something I've never had. I've had one, but then I basically shot it for fun and sold it, but he's never even seen one, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So even to get him started, I'm going to tell the wife tomorrow I'm just going to go buy one. You motivated me, man. I'm just going to go buy a crossbow now.
I mean, they make some cheaper ones, but the one he's got, it's 200-pound draw. I mean, so it's more than enough poundage and kinetic energy to kill a deer.
Yeah, I think my Barnett was $3.99 or something when I bought it. So
that's what he started out with. He started out with one of the Barnett Youth ones. I can't remember which one it was, but it was $2.99 or something I paid for it.
Yeah, that'd be a good one to get him started in the yard at least, and get him used to it. And
I think you just got to train their eye. You know,
he loves shooting his regular bow. I got him one of those youth bears. I have a longbow version and a youth bear version, and he absolutely he has to shoot all the time. It's 20 degrees out. He's like, let's go shoot our bow, right. Especially since I got the new targets. He loves shooting that turkey, you know what I mean? I'm like,
that's the way Hunter is. I mean, it'll be raining outside. He goes out and shoots his bow, and his birthday's next week. Well, 2 3D targets just showed up at the house from his grandparents.
Nice.
2 new ones. He doesn't know's there yet. And
that's a benefit for you and him, man.
Exactly.
I was telling my wife, I was like, I can't wait till the kids are bigger, and then for their birthday presents, I could take them on a turkey hunt or something. And he was in the car seat in the back, and he's like, I want to shoot an alligator. I'm like, all right, we're going. You heard it. We're going to shoot an alligator.
Oh, shit.
He's like, we could just go on every hunt possible. I'm like, yeah, that's a great idea. That's a perfect,
yes, it is.
Perfect idea.
Keep saying that.
Yeah. I just got to keep training him. So, but, yeah.
Yeah, that's all he does. That's all he thinks about. I mean, he goes to his barber, and all the time he has to get a horn shaved in the side of his head. Or last year during turkey season, he had I think it was a turkey spur. He had him shave a turkey foot with a spur on it. Or he gets
that's
feather.
Sweet. Yeah. I need to do that. Mullet with a shed on the side. So
everybody
sweet.
knows him as a kid with a deer horn on the side of his head.
God, that's epic. Man, your kid sounds super cool.
Right?
I want to be friends with that dude. When he's my age, he's gonna have slammers on the wall. Multiple slammers.
Well, it's like after I killed my deer this year, and he's like, "Oh, I want to kill one like yours, Dad." I said, "So doesn't Dad." I said, "Bud, you're 6 years old." I said, "You got your whole life ahead of you." I said, "You don't realize what you've already accomplished at your age." I said,
"Yeah."
I was shooting chipmunks at your age. I said, "That's all I was doing."
Yeah, I feel like he needs to just keep whacking forked horns. You know what I mean? Me and homie were just talking about that the last couple episodes ago. We were like, man, we need a piece of ground with just a ton of forked horns that can be murdered when our kids get bigger. You know what I mean?
Oh, absolutely. And that's the thing with him. I mean, I have no restrictions on what he shoots. I did call him off of a 3-point this year, the second sit of the season, because I knew he'd end up regretting it. Yeah. He already killed a 4-point and a basket rack 7-point. And and his goal going in, he wanted to shoot something better than what he shot last year. And if he decided to shoot something a little bit smaller, that'd have been fine. But I knew with being the second weekend of season, because our season comes in the last Saturday of September, so you're talking the first Saturday of October,
he was just a little jacked up early season.
Exactly.
Sometimes I think about that. I'm like, oh man, that buck might
totally
be 130, but it looks real tasty right now.
And I totally get it. I mean, when I was younger, I wanted to shoot everything that walked by. And it's just the phases you go through as being a hunter.
Sometimes I just want to go back to that phase and just
I just don't. You just don't care. You
just
want to
crush deer.
Yeah, I just want to go out there and just murder.
Yeah, just crush deer for a year and then go back.
Oh, I know.
It'd be super cool just to kill, 6, 7, just the confidence to,
yeah.
bow kill 6, 7 deer in a season. We just need to just go ham on does next year.
That was kind of the plan this year.
Well, we always pass them early season. We're in the tree like, maybe a buck will come by. Better not shoot this doe that's at 5 yards broadside eating this bush.
Oh,
you need to get a tag rogue run, bro. I could kill. Well, they'll limit the deer out there, but Jiminy Christmas.
I guess it helps me is with him getting to be with him while he shoots everything. That it kind of scratches my itch, and I go do my thing when I get a chance. And
I mean, just seeing your kid that happy, I feel like I'll kill the deer. Like Cody kills a deer, I feel like I did it. You know what I mean? Like I just can't imagine my own kid doing it, and I mean that's just gonna be like just off the charts for me.
I told homie, I said once we get to them when they're hunting hardcore, I feel like it'd just be them. And I told homie, I said I'm gonna get a recurve and just sit on the ground and shoot spikes. You know what I mean? Like, eventually there's going to be a time in my life where I'm just going to be like, yeah, I'm going to go hunting, but it's going to be, it's slowly transitioning already. You know what I mean? Like, I've had a little bit of success. I still like chasing big deer, but I feel like we get too buck tagged, like if you go on a public ground, on the ground and just kill something, it's just fun.
Situational, bro.
Yeah,
that's what I keep saying. Like if you're out there with the recurve on public land and the deer's 4 yards from you and it's 72 inches, it's 72 inches going down. I know. That's all there is to it.
I keep imagining that west side, like where the hill and the drop off is.
Oh,
just like that little 8-pointer we kept having on cam right there with the recurve. That'd be so cool. You know what I mean? But. So.
That's like when we first moved over here. I mean, we moved over to Ohio, where we live at now, in the middle of October. So it was, and honestly, I had never hunted. I'd hunted this county since like early 2000s, but I'd never hunted the southern part of this county. I knew nothing. I started scouting a little bit. I was just looking on aerial maps, and I was like, well, it looks like a good spot off the top. I'm gonna go hunt there. And honestly, I had more fun that year hunting than I have in a long time, just because it was almost the unknown. I wasn't running trail cameras. I had no idea what was there, and I had a good season. The second sit, I shot a big one and wasn't lucky enough to recover him, but I had seen several other really good deer that year, and I had a good season.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. First year going in.
Yeah.
But I mean, like I said, where I live at here is just, there's so much public ground.
That's nice. And like I tell people, once you find that spot, as long as other people don't move in on you and change it up, it's normally consistently good. You know what I mean? Because if a big buck likes that area, he likes it for a reason, and it's not going to, light switch ain't going to flip, and they're not going to be there unless, people start hunting there hardcore. That's the only thing that make it change.
I think what helps this, it ain't one big giant chunk. It's just 100 acres here, 500 acres. It's just all broke up amongst 3 counties right here.
Yeah, that helps out. So don't like us. We have big pieces, but they're very seldom. You know what I mean? So if you have hunters, you have a lot of them there, and you just have to outwalk or outsmart the hunters and hunt like a little overlooked spot or hard to get spot or something like that. But
done that.
Yeah, there's ways to do it, but I wish we had 100 here, 30 here, 50 here.
Yeah.
And Illinois did start a small where they lease land from landowners and make it public. They've started that, but it's very small compared to out west. So I hope that continues to grow.
Iowa does that a good bit too, don't they? Iowa and Kansas are big on that, I believe.
Yeah. I hope that continues to grow here, because that would be super awesome, dude. Even for like turkey hunting or anything, shed hunting, just having public ground where you have to buy like a separate permit to utilize it, but it'd be so worth it just to have those other options. And that's something that a lot of people might look into right now in Illinois, because I don't think a lot of people know about it. Like I didn't, as deep as I'm in hunting, I'm just scrolling through, Facebook, and I find this guy talking about it. I'm like, what the hell? Like I didn't even know this was a thing. You know what I mean?
Right. And then you send me a map, and you're like, hey man, check this out. I'm like, what is going on here?
Yeah, there's like a few close counties that have places you could just go like public ground.
Yeah.
And that's
really cool that they do that.
Yeah.
That's a huge help.
Yeah, that the first couple years on those might be primo before people find out, you know what I mean? So we're letting the cat out of the bag here. If you're in Illinois, check it out, man. I can't remember what the name of it is, but just Google
I can't remember either.
Google it, you'll be able to find it. You can Google anything.
Well, all right, man. We just wanted to talk to you about that, and you and your son both had a great season. It's something Cody and I, we're pretty jealous about it, and we can't wait for it to happen to us.
Well, I hope it happens pretty soon for you guys, because it's a lot of fun.
Well, hell, it might be in October for Cody. He's about to go buy a crossbow.
I don't know if he's ready or not, but just to be able to get him shooting in the yard for a year before he goes out, you know what I mean? He's like 110% in.
Yeah.
Like he's already told me we are planting a dove field this year. Like,
oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Nice.
He's like, where are we planting the dove field? I'm like, well, I got to find a spot. But we narrowed it down, and he's like, what are we planting? Last night we were looking to what we were going to buy to plant. You know what I mean? So he's in the game. He's hooked.
That's good.
You know what I mean? He asked before I came out here, he goes, can we go walk somewhere? Maybe that piece that you found that shed a couple days ago on. Maybe there's another one out. I'm like, well, we won't go walk there, but we'll walk somewhere. We'll find somewhere to go. It's supposed to be 67, so we got to be outside somewhere. But, yeah, man, we appreciate you coming on and telling your story. Hopefully this motivates some other dads out there with young, daughters or sons to get them out there. We say it almost every episode. Get your kids out there and leave a legacy, and that's what you're doing, man. You're instilling a hunting legacy with your son right now every time you take him out. And it's crazy. People think 4, 5, 6 they pick up so much information and retain it. It just blows me away, So
they're just a sponge at that age. And I mean, and I agree, 4, 5, 6 is young, but every kid's different. You just gotta be able to understand your kid and experiment with them. If they're ready, they're ready. If they're not, then they're not.
Yeah, like my kid knows that deer like to come out at night. When we were loading that buck up in the back of homie's truck and we were riding out, he goes, I wanted to go home, and you said we needed to wait close to the dark because the deer would come out, and you were right. And like he realizes that now. That was like an epic dad moment for me. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, huge moment where like I taught my kids something that took me a year or two to figure out. You know what I mean? Like I'm going hunting. No one's ever taught me nothing. I'm going out. I'm like, where are these deer at? And then I start seeing them close to dark. I'm like, oh, maybe they like to come out later at night. You know what I mean? I know nothing, So
I just try to explain things to him when we're out there. Like last night we was shed hunting and we come across some deer tracks and coyote tracks, and I said, oh, them are fairly fresh coyote tracks. And then he's like, why? How can you tell they're fresh? So I'm trying to explain to him why these ones are fresh and why these ones over here are old. And I think he kind of got the concept. Just things like that. I mean, it means so much to the kids. It may seem little to us, but it's huge to them.
Yeah, simple stuff, man. I do the same thing with like a deer track. I'm like, which way is the deer going?
Mm-hmm.
And he's finally starting to learn, like, okay, the deer's going this way. And I'm like, is that a buck or a doe? He has no clue yet. So he's got a 50-50 shot. You know what I mean? So sometimes he's right, but then I'll explain, like, okay, that's probably a doe because of this. And but he's got the direction down, you know what I mean? And he understands that. So just the small stuff like that, it brings so much joy to me, and you make an impact with your kids. So I'm glad homie reached out to have you on and to just share a story of success and a son and father out in the woods, because like everybody's talking, hunting is a dying thing. You know what I mean? There's less and less people into it. So getting these kids into it, even if it's our kids, if every guy out there gets his son into hunting, it's just going to continue to bring more hunters, more people in the industry, and keep the sport alive. And it's guys like you that are making that possible.
Yeah, because he's going to school telling his buddies, and his buddies like, man, Dad, let's get out. Or,
Yeah.
then you start taking his buddies. So, hopefully it just snowballs and we can get, like everybody says, more kids outdoors.
Oh, I agree. I'm all about it. I'm all about it. And that's all he talks about. He does school projects at school, and it has to do with hunting and stuff. And of course, his principal's a big hunter, so it's kind of cool. They always sit there and BS about. His principal show him trail camera pictures and stuff. So he has a lot of fun with it at school and everything. I don't let him he started getting cocky about something here this fall about hunting. I put the kebab to it. I'm like, whoa, take 2 steps back here, bud. We're not getting big headed about this.
Yeah. You're thinking you got your shit figured out, and then the next year you'd be like, man, I don't know anything.
Yeah, you ain't shitting.
Yeah. Yeah, but I feel like when I was growing up, I was so in deep with it, it kept me out of trouble. I feel like a lot of people start messing around. I was so in freaking hunting and fishing and stuff. I didn't party a lot. I didn't even chase girls a lot when I was younger. I just hunted. Like, I didn't have time for girls. I just wanted to be in the woods, or fishing or something. You know what I mean? And like, I think about it now. My dad would let me go out in a john boat on the giant lake at 16 years old by myself running trout lines. Like, I mean, I don't even know if I'd let my kid do that right now. Like, I'm taking my Ford Ranger out in the middle of nowhere on this hidden spot, pulling this 10-foot john boat out, going into this absolute giant lake and running freaking trout lines at 16. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Most kids are like, I'm going to date this chick. I'm like, I got catfish to catch, bro.
I was the same way. I mean, even after I got out of high school, I worked jobs to where I had hunting season off. I worked construction, and it come bow season, I was taking a layoff. I'd come back right before Christmas, and then I'd work right before turkey season, and I'd take a layoff.
Oh, man, that sounds great. The kids life. The no kids life.
No kids, wasn't married. I worked on the road. So, I mean, it was great.
Yeah.
It was a big adjustment when I met my wife, and it's like, now things are getting serious. I better look about a serious job. And
oh yeah, then you have kids, and you're like, man, am I gonna have time for hunting? But then when they get into hunting, you're like, oh man, I'm solid now. Yep. If you could take a kid, you have so many excuses to go hunting if your kid wants to go. Be like, oh, he wants to go. No, I don't even want to go tonight.
Be like, look, it's just one less kid you got to deal with tonight.
Yeah.
And it makes it pretty. My wife's into hunting, and she stepped back because letting Hunter take his turn and everything. And because right before Hunter started hunting, my wife had never killed a decent deer in 2 years in a row. And I told her she had the luckiest damn streak I'd ever seen bow hunting. She'd hunted one night in West Virginia and shot a great buck over there. The next year we come over here to Ohio. She set like 2 hours and shot a pretty decent buck over here. I was like, that's not bad. You sit 2 or 3 times in 2 years and kill two good nice ones.
Man,
sounds about like Cody's wife.
Yeah, that's about like that, man. I need that luck for just like one hunt.
Yeah,
I feel like I've had pretty good luck, but I mean, like, I feel like I set so much.
Oh yeah. You set a lot.
Just set so much in the woods.
I just want that dumb, pure dumb.
I just want to go out like October 3rd and one walk by, like, oh hey, what's up, man?
Yeah, 150 you've been having all summer. Yeah,
That's all I want.
That's what I told my wife going into this year. I said, I don't know if I even really remember how to get it done anymore. I said, it's been so long. And then, like my 4th or 5th sit this year, I killed the buck that I killed, the biggest buck I've ever killed to date. So.
Yeah, that's how it goes, man. You never know.
Yeah.
Just got to get out there.
No, you don't.
That's what we always say.
Time in the stand is what kills big deer.
Heck yeah, that's what we always say on this podcast.
That's all we say.
Man. You know it. So, all right, man. We appreciate you coming on.
Not a problem, guys. I've had fun. I appreciate it.
Man, I really enjoyed talking to Jason there. Just like I told him, very jealous about what he was able to do this past year. Be able to get his son on a deer and be with him when he got it done. Like, that's going to be something that's pretty special.
Yeah, it's going to be super special, man. Get out there. I think it's going to be so cool. I hope that our friends, our kids can have like the same relationship me and you do because they're around the same age.
Yeah.
Like, and they just grow up hunting. And when we're like 60, they're like, 35-ish out there still hunting, still doing the same thing. It's going to be cool to grow them up together.
Just the amount of stories they're going to have together.
Yeah.
Or, you know, when they are hunting by themselves, be like, you remember that time my dumbass dad did this or
Yeah.
whatever, you know, and then, you know, that's going to be pretty cool.
It's going to be cool. And they'll be able to get together, grow off each other. So we're not only going to be able to teach them, but hopefully they can teach each other. And just like we do, you know, talk game plans out. Be like, our dads don't know shit. This is how we're going to kill this deer. So it's going to be awesome, man. But this episode goes back to everything we say on this podcast, man.
Yeah.
Try to leave a legacy. Get your kids involved. That's the main mission. That's why we named this thing Whitetail Legacy, to tell these stories, to motivate people to hunt, motivate them to get out there, be able to have them stories, because what's a legacy? It's a story, right?
Mm-hmm.
So this is just basically a storytelling platform for you to leave a legacy with your kids, your dad, whoever you want to. Get out there and do that. Leave a legacy, and Whitetail Legacy's out.